Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of News Dose, where I give you the latest news in the video game world. And Sony seems to finally be listening as they make more changes this week, which of course is very good news. And not just for PlayStation fans, so we will discuss that. Also, could an Overwatch character ever be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? From the sounds of it, it actually could happen if Nintendo really wants it to. And of course, we have plenty of other news to talk about as well, so stay tuned for all that. But let's take a moment to explore the idea of an Overwatch character being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Because yes, Jeff Kaplan in an interview with IGN said that Nintendo could have any of the 31 heroes in Overwatch for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And he especially liked the idea of Tracer in specific being in Smash Bros. Because she is Overwatch's mascot. Now, this in itself doesn't mean that Nintendo will take Papa Jeff up on his offer, but much like Phil Spencer did with Banjo-Kazooie, he is talking publicly about being okay with the inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So really, it's completely up to Nintendo and Sakurai by this point, but let's keep in mind that almost any developer would be okay with one of their characters being in Super Smash Bros. Because it is a very popular game, and it's just free publicity by this point. Now, one thing about Super Smash Bros. Though is that most characters in the game is Japanese based, and of course you have Banjo, which is made by a UK developer, but for the most part it seems clear that Sakurai really prefers to put Japanese icons in the game. But with that said, Overwatch is an insanely popular game with over 40 million players as of 2018. And a lot of very recognizable characters on top of that with their own lore, background, merchandise, and comics. Honestly, I could see several different heroes in Overwatch having a super fun playstyle in Super Smash Bros. You have Tracer, of course, with her teleports, grenades, and rewind, and then you have Doomfist, which just seems like he would fit perfectly into a fighting game. In fact, he actually has several nods to fighting games in Overwatch. There really is a lot of different options here though, if they really do decide to do an Overwatch character in Super Smash Bros. I think one problem though may be that Overwatch characters are centered a little bit too much around guns, but that didn't really stop characters like Snake, Joker, or Bayonetta from being in the game. The only difference with those characters in specific though, besides Snake, is that they also have a large and expansive kit beyond just guns, so they were able to make it work in a fighting game. Doomfist though really could fit perfectly, but Tracer would still make the most sense just based off of her popularity, or maybe even Reinhardt with a shield and hammer. Really there's a lot of different characters within Overwatch that's easily very recognizable. Anyways, it was an interesting thing for Jeff Kaplan to say, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it and whether or not you would like to see an Overwatch character in Super Smash Bros. If so, who would you like? Let me know in the comments below, but if you really do want to play Overwatch on the Nintendo Switch right now, don't forget that Overwatch is launching on the Switch later this month. In other news, Sony seems to finally be listening to fans more, as not only did we see PlayStation now reduce the price earlier this week, but also Crossplay is exiting the beta and is now a feature that developers can use. Actually, we won't even have to wait too long to see it either, as Call of Duty Modern Warfare will be using this option just later this month, and this is actually a very big deal for not just PlayStation, but just gamers in general. There's several different benefits to this, including you will be able to play with your friends regardless of what platform you buy a game on, and this is the big one for me, it helps the community of individual games vastly. I'm a big fan of competitive multiplayer games, or just multiplayer games in general, but there have been several occasions that the game is hurt because it doesn't have a large enough community. Fighting games in particular, I think I have seen this issue pop up from time to time, and honestly, there's no reason not to include crossplay. Even recently, developers have had the option to do crossplay with at least PC, Switch, and the Xbox, but they have for whatever reason not done so. But I'm hoping that now that PlayStation is supporting crossplay, that developers will finally start using this feature. It's such a needed feature, and I'm really happy we finally got this. Gamers absolutely won today. Up next, we got some Ukulele and the Impossible Lair reviews today. I know that's an extraordinarily long name, but either way, it's sounding absolutely excellent with several reviews comparing it to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, another game with a very long name, and how it may just rival its quality. Now, if you didn't know, the developers of Playtonic was of course formed by former Rare developers, and several of those developers actually worked on the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy. So it shouldn't come as some big surprise that they have done an excellent job with this game. For me though, the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy is one of my all-time personal favorite franchises, and to this day, the soundtrack of aquatic ambiance hits me in all the fills. So yeah, I pre-ordered Ukulele a long while ago, and I'm absolutely stoked for the release, which is October 8th. We only got 1 week left. Speaking of releases, we did get a few release date announcements. Both Gollum and Return of the Obra Dinn got a release date. Return of the Obra Dinn, which is a critically acclaimed game for the PC where you investigate all sorts of different scenarios, will be releasing on October 18th for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation 4. This is actually a very good game with an interesting art style, so very good news for console players. Now, Gollum was actually one of the very first PlayStation VR games announced, and it is a PlayStation VR exclusive, so this isn't available on other virtual reality platforms, but it looked very interesting back when they first announced it, but it kind of just disappeared for a long time. Nonetheless, I think it still looks very interesting, and it will be releasing on November 8th, so not too much longer. If you have a PlayStation VR headset, it might be worth checking out. Anyways though, that is it for this episode, but make sure to hit that bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.